Hi. I'm filming this on my computer. Um, I wanted to do this video because, in the case of if any, or American watches this, or anyone who's in a large country who don't have forced quarantine or isolation yet, I wanted to give you a perspective on a different country, and hopefully it helps you understand because I'm seeing a lot in the news of people not taking this seriously, of people thinking that it's just a virus and that, oh, if I get corona, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put all my sources in the description just so you can check and know that I'm not, just sprouting nonsense. And I don't want to do this video to fearmonger or panic people, but I'm just going to put it out there. I'm afraid. I'm scared. And people will say, oh, it's just the flu. It's not just the flu. And you can see that in China. You can see that in Italy, how much you have Italy. So many people have died that they just have to grab the bodies and incinerate them because it's just the amount is too high because they didn't take seriously the social distancing, I'm sorry. And they didn't, and like I said, I don't want this to be a panicky video. I don't want to fearmonger you. I just want to show you another perspective from a different country. I live in Colombia, and I see a lot of Americans in other countries. Some citizens do take it very seriously, but others don't. And like I said, with the whole Miami spring breakers, oh, we need to live, and if I get corona, and like if we don't go out and celebrate our lives, it's winning. Like if corona was in a person, not a virus. And you need to understand that a lot of governments don't know how long this will last and don't know how long it will go for. And if people don't stay inside, and I should clarify this. When I mean stay inside, I know that there's people who can't stay inside. There's people who have to work. There's people who have to go and work, and hopefully their job establishments are making it so. Like, example, if you work at a restaurant, that there's no it's only delivery, and there's no human the contact between people is very minimum. But if you can stay home, stay home. And if you can stay home, but you're still going out in the sense of like partying, drinking, bars, restaurants, having pool parties or barbecues or with large gatherings, don't do it. Just stay home. Do it online. And I try to be empathetic with people who are like, oh, I'm missing my birthday, I'm missing prom, and I am empathetic with them because that is a milestone in their life, but you need to just take a step back because there are people who it hurts them, but they're still social distancing, but there are other people who I see them going out, I still see them, proudly posting, oh, I went to travel to this place, and it's like, so, like I said, I'm from Colombia. Now, I don't want to talk about politics because we've seen, especially during this pandemic, so many presidents and politicians do not care about people. They only care about money and who's going to fund their future campaigns. But I don't want to talk about that because I feel like we all understand, hopefully, and on top of that, I want this video for you to focus on the other things. Because even if the government doesn't implement it, they should. And you should push your government to implement it. Now, in Colombia, the government took a while because they said, why put quarantine if the virus isn't everywhere? Up till now, there's around 100 cases, and they're all isolated. They're all at their houses and their homes. Some of them do have to go to the, medical places because if they've gotten to, they can't breathe or it's evolved to somewhere where they need medical attention, but other than that, they stay at their home. Some, government officials were like, why bother? It's going to impact the economy. Well, governors and mayors decided on their own accord that they were going to quarantine the city or the state, and that's what's going to happen. And a lot of people from those states or cities were very for it because people understand here that the healthcare system would collapse. It could not withstand so many people sick. And the president came out and said, oh, no, if you're going to quarantine your state or your city, you need to come through me and have me approve the plan. A lot of people were angry with that, but at the end of the day, the officials, the mayors or the governors decided fine, and they sent it. One told the president, I'm not taking this quarantine. I don't care if you don't approve it. I don't want my city, my area to die. It's very, very admirable of him. But the president approved basically all of them, as far as I know. And so right now, where I live, I don't want to say where I live exactly, but the state where I live, they have the weekend. So we were quarantined from Friday at 10 p.m. all the way to Tuesday 4 a.m. We can't go out. If you go out and it's not a medical emergency, you will get fined 4 to 8 minimum salaries. And that is all to flatten the curve. That is so we don't pass the virus around. So, because the virus, you don't get the virus and then you immediately start showing symptoms. There's an incubation period. Some people, it takes 14 days for them to start showing symptoms. And if you are sick and you don't know you're sick and you're walking around and you're coughing, and you're not even coughing, you're just spreading around through your air particles, the amount of people would rise. And so the president, I assume, just saw how his team or him or whatever saw if the impact would have in Colombia if you don't take this seriously. We only have 100 cases. Imagine if it rised. Where would we get? We wouldn't have enough medical professionals. We wouldn't have enough medical equipment. It just would not be enough. More people would die. So what do? You do the responsible thing. The president, from this Tuesday, from 11:59 all the way till April 13th, there will be a national quarantine. You won't be able to go outside. Of course, there are certain people who will be, medical professionals. You need to have a note saying, oh, I'm a nurse, or I'm a doctor, or I'm this, or whatever. People who are like providers of like food to places will be able to go out. And there's certain people who will have exceptions to the rule, but the majority of people will be at home, will stay at home. And obviously, ideally, the government would freeze the bills, they would freeze the rent, because you have people from 24th all the way to April 13th without a job, just working from home. If they can work from home, because some jobs can't work from home, some people don't have, a reliable job, so the government is lacking in that part. The government should freeze every bill that you have, like the energy bill, the internet, everything, because you have kids working from home, studying from home, and you have some kids who don't even have internet where they live or who don't have a computer, so how are they going to study? There is, especially, Colombia's a third world country, there is a lack of preparation. There was an area that they didn't have, the plumbing just didn't go all the way over to that certain area, so they don't have water. They didn't have for months. And the government didn't do anything until now with the pandemic. Now they're sending trucks, 50,000 gallons of water in a week, twice a week they go and they give them water, because if they get sick, that's the whole entire community sick. Obviously, every government is doing things that they should have been doing a while ago now. But at least we are now aware that the government is capable of doing these things. They just didn't want to do them because money, because they don't care. Like I said, don't want to be too political on this, but this is what our president in our country is doing. They know that we're just not capable of handling a pandemic. So by keeping people in their homes for 19 days, if you do have the symptoms, if you do get sick, you'll be aware and you'll stay at home and you'll write it out, and you won't pass it on to other people. And hopefully, when, for example, if the virus is out there just passing through person to person, and if there are no person to pass it on to, then it'll just stay there, And for senior citizens, for people over the age of 70 or 65, like I said, I will put corrections on the screen. The quarantine goes all the way till May 31st. So because they're the most vulnerable population, so they're in quarantine for longer. They can go out to get their medicine or to get groceries. Ideally, if they have someone else in their family to go get it, then that would be. But if for someone who it's just you and you're an elderly person or you're someone over the age of 65, then you can go and get the necessary things, but they want to avoid you going and spending time, the malls or something. There are places that are closing down the malls, but it's kind of depends on the governor or the president on what he rules. So that is what Colombia is doing. Now, the reason I say this is because, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of people in the U.S. not taking seriously their social distancing, not isolating themselves, just making it like they were on vacation and this is summer vacation and you can go and do whatever you want. It's like, please be aware. You don't want this to rise. You don't want this to get worse. Those can grow exponentially if you do not do social distancing, if you don't isolate. You already have California in isolation because the governor is aware that they aren't in capacity to handle that amount of people if they do get sick. And like I said, I don't want to fearmonger, but there was a study, of course I'm going to put in the description, that basically said if you don't flatten the curve in the US, just the US alone. I do have family in the US. I have loved ones in the US. But that's just not the only reason why I hope that no one else is dying. You should be empathetic towards other humans just because they're humans, not because they're blood related, not because, oh, I don't want, you shouldn't do social distancing and isolation until you're impacted by it. Like, oh, unfortunately your grandmother died or someone died and you're like, oh my god, it is serious. Like, no, you should be doing it because I don't want to get other humans sick. You should have enough empathy so that the only thing that matters. You have El Salvador. So I want to say exactly what they're doing in El Salvador. So what they're doing basically is the president ordered a close of the call centers. They're closed. They basically are going to have free electric energy, free water, free cable, free internet, free phone, free gas, free the rent, and they're gonna exonerate having to pay your credit cards and your mortgage for 3 months. So basically, you're gonna stay at home for 3 months because he's aware. A lot of third world countries are aware that if it goes to a scale of Italy or China, we wouldn't be able to make it. And like I said, you're seeing this in Italy. Italy is getting to the point where they have to make decisions based on who is more likely to survive, and no one wants to get to that point. And it's because some people in Italy didn't take seriously the social distancing or the isolation, and they thought, oh, it's just vacation time. I am begging here to take it seriously. I don't want you to be anxiety-filled person who is like me, who's, I haven't left my house because this pandemic, the anxiety has caused in me. I don't want you to be like that, but I want you to think of others. I don't want you just to think about your family and your grandmother and your grandfather and your mom and your dad. I want you to think of others who might be autoimmune, who might have just gotten transplants, who make them more prone, who if they get the virus, it can be life or death for them. I want you to think of them. I want you to think that of all the medical professionals who are working their ass off, who are in contact with people every day, every second, who are trying their hardest, who I don't want them to have to get to the point where they have to make life and death decisions and having to take people off ventilators because, we're short of ventilators and we need to make tough decisions, and they have to tell family, we need to take your mom off the ventilator because she's not going to make it, and we need to give this to someone else. I need people to take this seriously. And I know in the US, propaganda, people in the US don't like to believe that there's propaganda in the US, but there's propaganda. And they want to tell you that it's a virus, that it's a flu, and that it's no big deal, or that it's a hoax. It is a big deal. It is important. And your healthcare, even though you don't have great healthcare in the US. It's not the greatest. Even if you had a wonderful healthcare, very few healthcares are prepared to handle a pandemic, prepared to handle thousands of people sick, and they don't have the ventilators or the machinery. Or like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the terminology, but just we're at a crucial moment. And if we all stay at home, if we can, I want to repeat, if you can, because like I said, sometimes with your job, you can't. But if everyone else who could stay at home stayed at home, then you are at less risk at your job. So if you can't stay at home because you have a working job, that's completely different. But if you can stay at home, stay at home. Do social distancing. If you can isolate yourself, isolate yourself. Isolate your family. We don't want this to keep growing. We don't want, some countries are saying it might go till July, others are till November. Just think of others. And that's very hard because I see a lot of people panic buying, a lot of people buying excess amount of toilet paper. When we see videos of Italy, they have food. But if you panic buy, it's going to take a while, because if you buy out everything, the store or wherever you're buying it from isn't prepared for a complete buyout, so they have to wait for the providers to bring more food, to bring everything. So try to think of others. Try to be mindful. I know during these times people tend to be selfish, and they tend to be selfish not without even noticing it, because pandemics are scary. They're scary. They just are. But if we're a little bit more empathetic, if we try to think of others, and if we just work together, I think we can shorten this. We can, we see that a lot of countries are working on vaccines. They skipped the animal testing and they went directly to humans, and it will take 14 months for them to see if the vaccine, won't have any effects on the person that they're trying on. It's like 45 people that they're trying the vaccine. I think there's like 3 countries right now who have the vaccine developing. But if we can flatten the curve, if we can avoid even more spread of this virus, that will be great. Like I said, I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to create any anxiety of people, but just see how other people are handling it, other countries are handling it, and say, why isn't my country handling like this? Why isn't my country taking it seriously? And demand that your mayor or governor or president does the right thing, because there's presidents who don't care. And that's a sad reality, but there's presidents who don't care because they care more about money. They have family members who have, certain businesses, and so they want those businesses to be lucrative, even if we're in the middle of a pandemic. So, and I don't want to get like conspiracy. These are not conspiracy. It is what it is, unfortunately. But so yeah, just, I guess, practice social distancing if you can, and if you can stay isolated, wash your hands, wear gloves, don't touch your face. But if you can stay at home, then stay at home. And if you can't because you're working, then make sure that the people who can stay at home so they don't go to your workplace. And, And one last thing, to all the nurses and doctors, I think we should just, if you're a religious person, pray for them, send a little prayer. If you're, not a religious, but you're like, just send good vibes, send a lot of positivity towards them, because they are risking their lives right now. A lot of nurses and doctors and healthcare professionals have families, and they won't be able to see their family, or they won't be able to see their kids or their parents because they're in contact with people who have COVID-19. So just think about them a little bit, And like I said, it shouldn't have to affect you for you to care.